So this video is about depression, right? About the different parts of depression, understanding depression, and an example of. Right. So the first and most obvious thing, right? When you're depressed, carry on. Right, we need to get to the.
Can you crop that out?
Oh.
Just doing it so I can put the stuff in the bin.
See, you're smiling, I'm less depressed. Right? No, it's a good example. Right? People smiling and people being happy. That's alright. Right. So literally, because if you want to understand the phonics of it, right? There's some other videos. But when you're depressed, it's because you're having a deep rest in certain areas of your life, your experience. Now the thing to remember, if you're feeling depressed, you're not feeling wholly depressed, right? When you're feeling wholly depressed, you feel like you just want to be in a hole, right? So the thing to remember is it comes in parts, it comes in sections. I'm not feeling depressed as a father, right? As a father, I'm quite happy, right? As an optimist, as in feeling that even though we've got a problem, feeling, and I might not understand the particular solution for that problem at this point in time, I'm still optimistic that somewhere there's an answer. So the optimistic me is not depressed. Thank you for making me a cup of tea. Slightly less depressed. No, thank you for my tea. Right. So I'm not currently in a day-to-day traditional, which trades, intuition. Because it sort of drains your natural rhythm, because you have to fit in a particular structure in case of being you're an individual. Right. So the working me, or the feeling that I'm contributing to it, even though I am loads of videos, help out, I try and find ways, but working within a structure, the working, sort of participating in society, working me, is fairly depressed. The people person me, I don't interact day to day with many people, is depressed. And the lover, the relationship me, is depressed. I'm not going to go too much into these areas, but it gives you an example that the entirety of you is not, even if you're feeling depressed in certain areas, whether it be you thought you were in control of your financial situation, something happens that depressed you, it brought you down. Right? Other areas, whether it be behaviour, you thought you understood somebody in a relationship, and then something happens and you didn't expect it, maybe you don't understand it, and it brings you down, it brings you to a depression. Alright. Now, clinical depression, they call it, if you're sleeping 16 hours a day, it's classed as clinical depression. Right? 16 hours. You might like this, it's clever. What I do is I have a cup of tea and I think about these things, and then when I think about something in a particular number of layers, and I can structure it in a way to share, I share it through these videos. Alright. Now, stay with me on this. right? Because I'm going to tell you that Jesus was depressed. I'm not going to go too religious, and if you want to understand that everything that's happened in the past and that you view as history is happening now, is relevant now, and things that are happening in the future are also happening now and are relevant to now. If you want to understand that a little bit more, watch the video that I made on how time works, right? And that'll explain to you a little bit more on that. But the link to knowing Jesus depressed is in this clinical 16 hours a day. 16 hours is 2/3, right? 2/3 is BC, right? Before Christ. There's so much code and linking in between the past and the future and the story. It's a story, but you need to understand your story, right? About feeling good, feeling up there, and also feeling depressed, and working your way in the middle ground, right? There's another video on that as well, right? So before Christ, it's not called before Jesus, right? Time, right? It's called before Christ, right? All right. That has meaning because it's when you're depressed, you don't particularly look after yourself. It's where the beard and the hair sort of came from, the image of Christ, right? All right. So 16 hours a day is clinical depression, right? And this is another reason why, after the death of the cross, after he had a shave and a haircut, and he was feeling better, AD, right? AD 1-4, right? So much code in the alphabet. AD, and it's 1/4, and it's a quarter. Now, when you're depressed and you're taking this deep rest and reflecting, right, you start to understand more about yourself. And this is where the AD comes in. This is where the 1/4, and this is the cycle of change, right? So you split the entirety of yourself or the entirety of an experience into 1/4, and if you need to just Google the cycle of change, right? And that's what you understand. That's when you're feeling depressed, when you're in depression, when you're taking a deep rest, you need some sort of structure. And this is the cycle of change can be like a 4-step ladder to climb out. You're not going to climb the whole ladder right to the top, but you to get out of the particular dip, right, the hole that you've found yourself in a particular area. The cycle of change, AD, after the death of Christ, when you've washed yourself down and you're feeling, better, baptized and things like that. But, and that's why another reason in scriptures, right, where after he'd spent the 3 days, right, 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years, right, depressed, like his hair grown, got a long beard, right, and after that, after I'd come out of his cave, right, his bedroom, his house, right, his dwelling place, he turned up and his friends didn't recognise him, right? No, because he'd been reborn. He had had a, shave, haircut, wash, and they didn't recognise him when he turned up at the door. And then they heard him speak, and they knew it were him. Alright, so this is depression. If you're feeling depressed, if you're watching this video, it's going to help you if you can, if the even if the piece that you take from it is that you're not feeling depressed in every area. You've got something, right? You're more than just one side, right? You've got different areas. Find something that you're not depressed in. Find something that you enjoy. Keep it simple. Do that. Now, you can get yourself out of depression by doing that. There's also possession, right? And you've got to be aware of this, and this is where the perception of demons and devils and things come in, because when you're feeling down, you'll get people who pressure, who try and press, right? And I can go on to the spelling, and this is spells and spelling and demons, and right. Depression, and then you've got Poe, PR, right, the stick on the D, right, to make it a P, and it's Poe. The E and the O is an emotional operating system. PR, but it's a Poe. It's possession through pressure. That's why it's a P word. It's all the words that all link. Like again to quantum mechanics. You've got the alphabet, and then you've got all of the letters inside. It's how quantum mechanics works. But anybody who knows about quantum mechanics will go, oh yeah. Oh, right. The simple thing is, when you're feeling low in a particular area, pressure won't help. It will break and corrupt your cells and you'll get ill. Right? And that's where depression leads to illness. Depression in itself is a rest in certain areas of your life. Add pressure to depression, it corrupts cells and leads to illness, which then develops if you allow it. So if you're feeling depressed, and this is where, keep it simple, focus on something that you enjoy, something that you can do, right, and that you feel good about, and knowing that while you may feel depressed, you don't feel depressed in every area, and that you didn't feel depressed, and that at some point in the future you won't feel depressed again. It's a temporary state in the moment that you're in, and better moments will develop through your understanding and your perception. Watch this video again. I'm not going to go on repeating myself. It's all in the story, but it's understanding your own story and understanding the cycle of how things change, right? And making it slightly different. And that's the rotations of the world, because it might go round, but it actually goes round, and it's the cycle, but not in the same position. It's like a sort of uncorking of the screws. Anyway, here we go. Message in a bottle. Yeah. Alright, so find the areas of yourself that aren't feeling depressed. Stay within them, but also reflect on the other areas that are feeling depressed, and work through a cycle of change at your own pace. Do not accept pressure from other areas, no matter how much people who shout, people who try and force you, will corrupt the structure of you and make you sick if you allow it, if you accept it. And if you know somebody who's down or advice. Don't tell them what to do. You can offer support, offer advice, but every single individual needs to make their own way out of the temporary moment dip that they're in. A helping hand doesn't grab you and try and take you out of it. Helping hand just stays there saying, when you choose, I'm here for you. That's what individuals need, and that's what creates an environment for a really awesome, good feeling place.